How would you like to make your first million? And today we have a special guest from United Kingdom. His name is Anmol Goel, and he is the founder of the upcoming venture, Jackson Ventures, and the actual founder of Orion Ventures. So Anmol, tell us, what are the 5 steps that you recommend to tech entrepreneurs to make the first million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Yeah, thank you very much, Harry, for having me, first of all. In terms of the 5 steps that I would outline, the very first thing is find a solution which has demand in the market, right? A lot of the founders, what they try and do is copy and paste what already exists. They want to make the open AI program, or they want to make another Canva, but try and make something which you can resonate with, which there is a pain in the market and you can provide a solution for. Someone is willing to pay for you. Then the second thing of it is finding two things: product market fit and price market fit. So, your first iteration of your product will never be your last. So go deeper into the market, see what the right product is, where you can upsell, and see where the right price is. Again, the first price you will go in the market will never be your last. The strategy of your pricing will never be the last. Then third, and probably one of the most important thing I would say, is listen to your customers. Your customers will always tell you what and why, what they want. So deriving value is the easiest way to scale, right? There's a saying in venture that there is no funding like revenue-based funding. So if you can bootstrap and you're profitable and you're making revenue, you don't need to even look at VCs like us. And that almost makes VCs like us want you even more, because you're self-sufficient, right? You can do it. So focus on deriving value rather than nitpicking in the early sort of stages and going just all in on money, money, money. That's not the case. Build value, money will come. Then number three would be start to delegate and automate. You only have so many hours in the day, and if you're trying doing everything yourself, you being the CEO, CFO, CSO, CPO, that's not going to work. Find people, and that's what I did, right? I'm a big believer in telling people what I did and how I got there versus how generally one can get there, right? I made sure my CTO, right, who was coming in comparison to what he knows in tech, I know nothing, right? So I want to hire brilliant minds who know more than me in my specificities. I'm a great generalist. I'm not a specialist. So I want to find specialists who are better than me, who can do these special functions better than me, and bring them in. And then the last part is then focus on scale. Now, scale would be achieved via partnering, via establishment of automation and value, and responding to the market. So as you scale in the UK, you will start seeing recipients in the US ask for your product anyways, right? There might be, in Australia, whatever. Then focus on the scale building. Again, start with the focus of, if you're going into new geography, does the solution fit? Do you need to do any iteration? How do I, again, stick value based modeling there? How can I automate that a team is there so I don't have to work 24/7 and build, build, build? So then you can do country one, country two, country three. And that's how I kind of did it, right? So now I have guys in 6 different countries, and I just sit on top and try and manage as much as I can.
So, what are the biggest challenges that you find it as a tech entrepreneurs, and how you overcome that challenge?
The biggest challenges, tech entrepreneurs that I find, that I see them as an investor, is the very first one I would say is a lot of them are now, especially after the COVID market, they're not making the penny last. So what I mean by that is, back in the day, or I'm talking about, the teens, 20 teens, a lot of the founders will bootstrap up to 50,000. They will put in their own money. They will say, look, we've built the MVP. We've got our first 5 customers. Now we want money because we proved it. Nowadays, one of the biggest things I'm running into is founders like, I've got this amazing idea. Give me money. And there's no proof that you've tried and tested. I haven't seen you fail. I haven't seen you fall down.
Do you think if
And part of
someone
the,
have 5 clients and more already is a proof that there is some traction to the product?
I mean,
How about one
there's not
client? One client is not enough. or two, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Have to be
it
minimum
depends, right?
five.
If that one client is someone like an Apple, right, paying them 2 million a year, then maybe it's different. But I would say, in terms of when we sort of look at de-risking, I would look at least 10. I mean, B2B and B2C is different, right? Because B2C is someone is paying 10, $15 a month. So even in that, the first 10 clients don't really matter because that could be your friends and family, right? If
Absolutely.
I'm selling, exactly, if
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
selling
yeah.
something to friends and family, I can ring you. I can say,
So
Harry, I've
B2C,
just
what
got
will
this
be, Arnold,
product. Yeah,
the number that will give you an indication that there is some traction for the product when it comes to B2C? B2B, you
I
already
would say
said 10 clients,
500.
right? Up
500 would be a good. Again,
500.
depends on the price, right? I'm saying 500 if the product is like worth $10. So if it's a very cheap product, right, that's solving a very menial easy problem, I would say 500 is a good number because that then means you have gone outside the circle of friends and family and you
Absolutely.
have gone outside your personal circle, and this is now coming in through your marketing, your ads, and automatically. So now I know something is working. B2B, I would say around the 10 mark. If it's a really big product, maybe 5 mark, like you sort of said, would be adequate.
Yeah. Now, something that hasn't reached these projects that hasn't reached this level of traction, um, let's face reality because for all our listeners that we have here, we want to be the more transparent as possible so they can actually achieve the goal. And this is the reality. And this is not only Anmol as a VC, oh, why he's like this. Is the minimum standard that everyone out there, because those times, Anmol, that people will write a piece of paper and ask for millions to a VC like you, those times are gone, right?
Well, I think those times are still there, and people are very much anchoring towards that now. But I would like to say to everyone, and this is a big thing we in VC believe is, I will take a bang average idea with an amazing team any day over an amazing idea over a bang average team, because ideas are nothing. It's all about execution. So in the early stage, 50% of my bet is on the founding team. Can they do it? What is their background? I'm taking the hedge onto them. Can they execute it? That's why, VCs really like second and third time founders, because we know things will get hard, right? When you get into that situation where you have $2,000 left and now you have, your bills to pay and the company to run, are you just going to quit or are you going to try and find a way? All right. So those are sort of the kind of guys that we sort of look out for.
So why you decide to become a tech entrepreneur on the first place? It's a very risky thing to do, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, very, very, very risky. I think, it's a very cliche statement, but I didn't choose to. I ended up here. I didn't choose it, right? This is where destiny sort of led me. So
Like me,
my
same like
background,
me. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, exactly.
I've been forced to be
My
in business. I didn't have any choice.
that's how it is usually in business, right? You start at something else, 10 years later you're completely different sometimes, right? My background was very traditional, so I started in investment banking and wealth management. And I grew up watching obviously Wolf of Wall Street, so I knew I wanted to make a lot of money. And
Ah,
I knew there was no such thing as 9 to 5 millionaires, right? You don't make your millions working your 9 to 5, and
absolutely.
so I thought, let's start doing something on the side. So I started with venture consulting to begin with. So I was consulting tech founders, very small stage, like one or two individual, very small company, worth like 50, 60,000, and got really good at go-to market and scaling them. And
Wow.
then I was very active on the event scene. So I started to meet a lot of investors who were like, this is the kind of founder I want. This is the kind of startup I'm looking for. And because I was meeting so many startups, I started syndicating deals. I started, putting the investor in front of the startup and working on behalf of both and negotiating stuff, and started making money syndicating the deals. And then I realized I'm just giving away all the good deals. I need to be a part of it. So as I made money, I started doing angel investments. Then I built out a venture studio. We did bigger investments through that. And as I made more and more money, last year we facilitated about 55 million, right?
Wow.
People were like, you need to launch a fund. So, we did, and now we're building this 10 million fund, and we, backed three startups out of that already. So everything sort of just kind of fit into it. And this sort of goes back to question one that you asked me, it was like, what are the five ways? Know your solution and, find your product market fit and be open to pivot because, there's no way, you will stay on the same path. You will need to pivot. And that's what I did. I kept pivoting. And then the third thing that I mentioned about value was I just kept listening to what the market wanted. Right, the market wanted more of this. Okay, let's look into more of this. The market wanted more of this, and then eventually I ended up automating the venture studio stuff, and now I'm on the scale stage where I'm building up my own fund with leverage money, LPs backing me, and that's what led me to be a quote unquote millionaire.
Yeah. So that's fantastic, Edmond. And then we l- let's talk a little bit more about what is happening in the tech space because don't get me wrong, 1 out of 5, 1 out of 6 people that come to this podcast on a stop of 5 step, how to make your first million, they are tech millionaires from angel investor, VCs, founders with several exits. There are people here that have been in this podcast that have one exit, two exit, three. And I always asking them, uh, what is the point that that you keep doing it? You should be on the beach. You already exit your company in the same way that you do. However, let's put in the pragmatic position because we want to say the right message out there. People might think that it's really easy to find money people might think it's really easy to become a tech multimillionaire. Obviously, they listen to Harry's show and say, wow, I should be in tech. 1 out of 5 people, 1 out of 6 people here are multimillionaire. This is the other one, property investor, by the way. Yeah. So nobody never speak about the 98% of companies tech in the tech space that fail, how dynamic is, how expensive it is, and how simple common mistakes like you are describing can ruin for completely. Because, for example, if I have a good product, if I have good product, I don't have any client, I go and I ask you money to you. That's it. You will never will take me seriously again because you said, okay, Harley, you don't know yet how this game works, and I need to work with people that have more understanding. And unfortunately, the out there, most of the founders in the tech space have this mindset. Okay, I have this idea, I have this piece of paper, I have this great product. Give me money so I can go out and sell it. And it doesn't really work like this, does it?
Yeah, no, absolutely not. You need to be able to show that you have the ability to bring money to the table, right? Because otherwise we would do the idea, right? If it's just the idea, anyone can do it. Show me that you can execute, and then I'll invest in the business, right? So absolutely.
So why do you think that most tech entrepreneurs, founders, you have met thousands of them, why do you think this mindset out there? What is in the core in this mindset that everybody's thinking, okay, I have this product that is gonna change the world. I have a pattern, it's gonna make the world a better place. This is amazing software. You should give me money. Let's hear me out. There are people out there that also asking for money just to keep developing, not even not even going to the place that they're gonna sell it, and then we go and ask you guys 2 million just to keep developing something that they don't even know they're gonna sell it.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
why
go ahead.
why that mentality exists?
Yeah,
I think part of
because
it,
it's very common.
is
It's very common. I When
yeah,
you meeting people in the tech space,
yeah, yeah.
how
I
everybody
think I
thinking
think
like this.
the the reason for it is people only talk about the successes, right? People are very hesitant to share their failures. We as a society have focused so much on, just building what is good and reflecting on what's shiny. I think we've often forgot to mention that, what does hardship look like? So a lot of times, when founders see all of these guys who have made it, and the guys from Anthropic, for example, or Perplexity, in 3, 4 years, these guys scaling the companies to billions. But they forget that for every one Anthropic, there was another thousand that failed and went to zero. But the reason is no one talks about it because society looks at them like failures. But I want to say that, if you have failed as a founder, that's not an issue. My first startup that I started at age 19 failed miserably. Right. And then I started my second company, then my venture, then I started a third company, which failed again. And then my venture, consulting arm was my fourth thing that I started. And that was just by the age of 22, right? So
Wow.
by the age of 19, 20, I'd earned and burned through about 20 grand, right? So, it's one of those things that people just don't talk about failures enough because they
And
see it as
actually,
a
the
bad
VCs
image.
get excited. The VCs get excited when a VC
Absolutely.
comes and find a founder that is the second, third project. They are like, "Wow, now we are talking." Yeah. Usually, the venture
Yeah.
capitalists are saying I hear that a lot on the space, where the VC will tell the founder, "Call me your next idea," and they're talking to me, "Harry, what this guy? What he means? I want to invest in this idea. What he means calling me in your next idea?" And that's exactly what's happening. They see someone with potential, but there is no a tech entrepreneur yet. Doesn't have mature
Mhm.
enough to know the dynamics, how the business works, and doesn't have been through the pain
Yeah.
of failing miserable and started over
Yeah.
again. Because when
Yeah.
you lose money, you do learn. You do learn the mechanics very, very well. So
Yeah.
the myth are not so for tech entrepreneurs out there. The number one, this one, the fact that you have an amazing idea and you're gonna find a VC like I'm gonna give you money, forget it. It doesn't exist. Yeah, I'm not saying he just shared with us. Yeah, what he
Yeah.
value more, and he's speaking. I think most of the VCs actually have this vision. What Amo described that he value more execution than actually idea. He said here.
Hmm. Yeah.
So if you come with this good idea that you have this product that's gonna change the world, and you have it in a piece of paper and it's all in your mind, until you don't execute it, you are nothing. And this is the truth. Myth number two: I have a great product. I already beat an MVP. I want to incorporate AI. So, Anmol, can you give me money so I keep developing? And then you and me, we're gonna go together to ask for more money for marketing to see somebody buys the product. Forget it. It doesn't work this way. It doesn't work this way because the VCs what they're looking for is exactly someone that can sell the product and have the capacity to bring money to the table, because I'm not just articulated. Otherwise, they will do the project themselves.
Yeah.
What we have to think about VCs, and it's a big misconception because people think that VCs are stupid. Yeah, if you see the founders, oh my God, no, I had this project, I'm gonna do this. You see, the VC should be begging me to invest in my project. I said, look, the VC is not gonna beg you to invest in your project because number one, probably he exit one or twice already.
Yeah.
He's just trying to help out, but he knows, and his level of execution is so high that even if you have a good idea and they could do it themselves, they had the content, they had
Yeah.
the funds, they had the execution, they have the skill, and they already exit.
Yeah.
So nobody's gonna throw a red carpet to you as a tech entrepreneur just because you have a great idea. Even if you develop a good product, you have to go a little bit further now. And this is the other thing, Anmo, that on the tech space, you can find brilliant people that they are product makers. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yesterday, I was watching the movie of McDonald's, Ray Kroc. And
Yeah.
this is a great example, a great analogy how this is work, because you see the McDonald's brothers, they were amazing product creators. They did create a good product, and they actually managed to sell even that product at a small scale. Now, uh, they were not strong in the growth phase of the business. They didn't want to do it. They are not good at it. And it was someone, which is her name was Ray Kroc, which is all expertise, everything. It was the big vision, how to scale that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get me wrong, you have founders like Mark Zuckerberg and the guys from Google that they managed to evolve themselves to the whole process. But this is actually very rare. Usually, the magic formula comes when the techs have founders are very good product person and they're amazing at the product, and then someone like you guys come invest because all what you specialize in that growth phase. And but I saw the movie, right? So the founders needs to allow to give the freedom to the team that is taking care of the growth to do the work effectively. And the biggest challenge is that sometimes those founders control the decision making process for the whole startup. And now, when you go to the phase of growth, you need someone that have freedom to execute the second phase. So, how you navigate and mitigate this challenge?
Yeah. So no, I think a very good analogy. So I think Harry McDonald, who's sort of one of the brothers, I think, their vision was never to be a national sort of chain, right? So in the very first meeting, we want to clear up what is the expectation, right? What are you building as a founder, and what is your 5-year vision? And, what is our 5-year vision? Obviously, part of what we sort of look at is, better for the world, AI, and something that's going to have an impact. But ultimately, we're here to make money. So if you want to have a great, mom and pop store that does well and brings you 50 grand a month, great. But if that's just your vision there, then you're not a VC product, because VCs want something that can scale, that we can exit, that can have that, unicorn behind it. So in meeting number one, we will ask, well, what is your 5-year vision? Where do you want to take this? What is Series A ambition? And that really clearly aligns for us. Where does this founder has his thoughts, right? I mean, we obviously don't need the founder to have the exact answer, because like I sort of said, being open to sort of pivoting is very, very important. And I've seen multiple startups which started out completely different to what they are, sort of now at the end of the day, and they've done really, really well. So that's not sort of the issue, but having that vision in mind in terms of where they want to scale, how they want to scale, what the vision is, what is our vision. So there's no, sort of disparity. Then when we invest, they come back and say, well, this is not what we thought. We just want it to be in this country with just one store and whatever. And also a second thing, which was very interesting that Ray Kroc did well, was, there's a part in the movie where he's speaking to the accountant or the tax specialist, and the tax specialist said, you're not in the fast food game, you're in the real estate game. What you want to do is buy land and lease that land, because you're not going to make money flipping patties. So a lot of the times I encourage founders to think bigger, right? Founders are very much like, look, I've solved this problem. And step one, like I sort of said about solutions, great, right? You've solved your problem or a local problem. That's where solution number one always thinks of. A founder has come from their corporate job, they've seen a CRM issue or a operation issue, and they want to solve that. But then what is the bigger picture? Right. And in Ray Kroc's terms,
Yeah,
flipping
what
patties is not going to
business
make you a
are
billionaire.
they really in, right?
Yeah,
And this is what a VC brings to the table. This is what
yeah,
because they do have experience scaling, and in this growth phase, because the founder just have a product and they have a product, and even if they start to selling that product, because the burgers were selling McDonald's, they didn't really in the phase of growth, they didn't knew what business are they really in. And
yeah.
this happens a lot in the tech space, that somebody develop a product and start to use it as software as a service. So start to present the product of how they thought that the market will get it. And let me tell you something. This it goes not only for tech entrepreneurs. For out of the 500 millionaires that we interviewed this podcast, I haven't found anybody yet that tell me, Harry, I created this product and my clients bought it exactly like I created. I'm still waiting for someone to tell me this story. It hasn't happened yet. Yeah. So, and in the tech, oh my God, iteration and iteration and
Yeah.
iteration because the client,
Well, especially with AI now, right? We're
there you
seeing the
go.
growth of open AI, right? If you look at what AI was capable of in 2022, well, that's just now, 2.5 years forward, there's been such an increase. And especially now that, with DeepSeek coming in play, people think DeepSeek is stronger. It's not a stronger technology. I mean, if you look at the back end of it, the structures that it's built on is not as strong as OpenAI, but what it has done is lowered the barrier to entry because they've been able to do it at almost 10,000 times cheaper. All right. So, the multi-billion dollars that have been spent, 300, I think this year, FANG, so, Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, and Google, they're planning on spending, I think, just close to, and Nvidia, sorry, and Google, they're planning to spend close to about 400 or 500 billion on their AI research. But we saw with the, DeepSeek that they were able to put everything together with just shy of, $10 million. So they've come in and really lowered the market entry. And I think this is really going to heat up the space where a lot of the smaller guys are going to figure out, actually, we don't need billions. Maybe we can do in a million. And that means a lot of people can enter the market because there's only 2,000 billionaires. But I think I think there's a million millionaires or something like that in the world. I don't know the exact number. Um, so I think that's getting more and more interesting. And we saw this, when the initial computer boom happened, right? The first CPU, the first, chip that was created was, probably the size of a whole whiteboard. And now these, 2 terabyte chips, they're like this
Absolutely.
small.
Yeah, technology is moving really, really fast. So
Yeah.
that's why tech is very lucrative. And don't get me wrong, the tech space is fascinated, and I love to be involved in technology. Uh, I work 5 years as a software developer, Java and
Oh,
Oracle.
wow.
When I was young, long time ago, I used to have 20 years ago. So imagine. So the I used to have long hair back then. So yeah, tech is amazing because in the end of the day, and the evaluations of the company, I think that because the good thing, we talk about the bad things about tech, let's talk about the good things about tech. So the good things about tech are the following: that when we want to exit that business, you can exit times 12, times 15, probably times 20 the revenue that this business is achieving. The reason for that is because it's tech. So the data, there is a value in the data that people don't even know what is going to work in the future, because with this development of AI and the tech space, the business that you buy now, the data that is involved in this tech business, you don't even know how much is going to work in the future. So that's the reason whether if you have a restaurant, you need to 3 times revenue or EBITDA or maximum 5 times. So every industry is different, but oscillate between 3, 5, 7 maximum. However, tech is 12, 15, 20, depending on how innovative it is. And then you have
Yeah.
companies that worth a lot of money and they don't make profit, and nobody understands why. How come this company doesn't make any profit and it's still worth a lot of money and people keep investing in this company? It doesn't make sense. Well, it does make sense because there is a value in the data. And if you have large number of users and large number of engagement, you can have a tech company that doesn't make any profit. And trust me, everyone we keep investing and be part of that company because it have large number of users, large number of engagement, and that leave a blueprint with data that now is more valuable than ever. Because of this
Yeah.
data, it generates a database for the AI. Because um, the concept, the really interesting thing about AI is that we are talking about AI, but what is important is not actually the AI. It's the database from the AI is learning. The AI is like a kid. You need to teach the AI things. If you teach good things, then the kid is gonna learn how to do good things. If you teach the kid how to do bad things, he's gonna do bad things. Well, the database is the where the kid learn, where the AI learn. And so, what's your view, Anmol, in AI? A lot of people come here and telling me, well, not to the broadcast, but in the general public of the entrepreneurs, they are telling me, well, I'm scared because of my job, because this AI might replace my job. And what I'm telling them is, look, you should learn AI and you should learn how to do your job more effectively using AI, because if you don't embrace that, don't worry about it. It's not going to be job for anybody because the company is going to collapse because your competitors is actually using it and becoming more effective. So it's not that AI is taking up your job. It's that whatever job you have out there, think how to implement AI in order to make it more effective and you will be competitive in the marketplace. So what is your view? Is AI actually is going to take away jobs from everyone, or everyone needs to raise the game
Yeah.
and embrace the new change and be able to adapt to change in the same way that business we need to adapt to change. I think the workforce out there have to quickly adapt to change if they want to be effective and having value, right?
No, absolutely. I think, look, AI will take over jobs for which are menial tasks. So now we're looking at a lot of boring tasks like, looking at scripts and providing summaries. There used to be a lot of people in works. Like I know a lot of people who might listen to this who are really young. They're graduates or analyst level. And I did this right when I started. 5 6 years ago was I would be literally on a call and I would say hello and then I'd go on mute and my job in that meeting would be to take notes in the meeting and then in the end I would say thank you and then I'll end the call there. But we can
That
see
used
this
to
in
be your
this
job,
meeting,
yeah.
right? Yeah, I mean, when I started as an analyst, that was part of some of the things that we did, right? I mean, obviously, I had more stuff to do, but I meant like that as an example. But
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
this meeting itself, we have the Fathom AI, the Read AI. These note takers will automatically take the notes. They will then transcribe it. They will tell you the to-do list. So I think AI is super, super good, to begin with on the menial task. Maybe you need to do calculations, basic accountings. So like you said, leverage AI in what you do. Learn how to integrate it. A lot of my guys on the development side and research side, I'm always like play around with it. These are all the tools. We've got all the subscriptions in the world. Play around with it. How can you make it better, right? If initially it was taking you 300 sorry, if there were 300 sort of follow-ups to do back in the day, someone would have to individually go through, okay, Mr. Anderson, Mr. Smith, Mr. Da, 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 this is what I think. Now, you can use AI to automate, okay, filter non-replied messages, similar pattern, okay, this is the reply, and using AI automatically change first name, automatically change date, send. So what would have taken a PA, 8 hours, she can now pretty much do in 8 minutes. So I think the power of AI is in its ability to save time and to save cost. And for you as an individual, now that makes you even more valuable, right? So you can now do what used to take someone 8 hours, right? And I would have to pay someone $15 an hour for 8 hours, so $120. And but now I'm more than happy to pay you $20 an hour. And now you can do even more. So your value as an individual has gone up. So yeah, maybe it's taking away some of the menial tasks, but that happens every sort of 50 years, right? If we go back 200 years when farming and stuff was a thing, we used to use cows and stuff to, herd the mills, and then tractors came, right? And the guys who used to herd it, well, they learned how to use the tractors, right? And then same with the financial revolution. When everything used to be done by hand, then computers came, people learned how to use them, became more valuable. I think AI is almost like, the fourth quotient of that, after our primary, secondary, and tertiary markets, it's a, quaternary sort of market. And the more adaptive you are, the more you learn using these AI tools, the more your value yourself in the market would increase. People will be more and more keen because as a business owner, I mean, we have, AI and a lot of the sort of stuff we do, even as, in our investments, we do initial due diligence using AI, right? So I don't have time to use all of the AIs. AI still needs to be managed. AI is not like, you click a button and everything gets done, right? I think that's people's wrong perception of AI that, I've got this red button and it does everything for me. It still needs to be managed. Someone still needs to be overlooking it. And whoever knows how to manage that best will be the most valuable individual. And there's no better time than today to become AI millionaire by leveraging that kind of stuff. So, people are creating a lot of chatbots, agentic AI, where, these tasks are being done, but someone has to manage it, someone has to build it, someone has to iterate it. That's where the money is. That's where you should be, thinking about going in. And if you're worried about, you being running out of the business because you can't take notes anymore or you can't do the 2 plus 2 in the business, then I don't think this business world is for you.
So Emily, someone is in love with our conversation and want to know about your business, and there are these founder that they are driving, they have the driving force, and they want uh to grow, and then looking for a VC, for the right VC can that can help them with this stage of growth. How can they find you? How this process work?
The easiest two ways are so on our website, when you go on, there's an application form. We're always encouraging founders to apply, and one of the research analysts will have a look at it. Or the second is connect with us on
Admo, can you
LinkedIn.
please mention the website because some people will be listening in the car or in the gym. So what is the website?
Okay. Yeah, so the venture studio website is www.gacsimventures.com. So GACSYM ventures.com. And then the VC fund is aryanventures.vc. So ARYAN ventures.vc. So feel free to go on there, feel free to apply. Or the second thing is, just message me or someone from my team on LinkedIn. Like, we try to be very, very active. LinkedIn is our biggest play. We tend to sort of do 80-90% of everything. It is a bit flooded. So I would say if you are messaging me or anyone in the team, don't send us a paragraph. I mean, if you send me a massive message, which is 2 pages long, I'm just gonna put you in spam and never look at you again. Be original, try and pop up
Direct
like
to
a
the
normal human
point.
being. Try and engage. But a tip on top of that is, leverage my connections, right? And people, I post a lot, right? We have a solid media team. Look at who engages with us. And this is for any VC in general, right? Where startups want to connect with them and they will just try and connect and then put this massive blurb about what they do, and they'll just get ignored. But look at whom the VC posts, and look at, in these posts, who are these VCs interacting with? Then try and go through a warm lead. For example, if someone comes through you, Harry, I'm much more likely to speak to them because you're a trusted source. So I'm going to be like, oh,
Mhm.
Harry is recommending me speaking to them, so I'm going to go speak to them. But if they just pop up and, say a big ass messages, I'll just say, no, I don't have time for it. Right. And
Absolutely.
then the third way is events, right? So catch me at events. There's no better place than connecting in person. So, I'm in US, UK, Middle East, India, Africa. I mean, I'm all over. So, again, we post a lot about what sort of events we're attending. So, if you are there, come up, ask questions, ask to be connected. Always happy to have a chat.
What is the last message that you have to take founders that they are stuck, they are suffering, and they want to move to the next level?
I
And they
think the
didn't
biggest thing,
thought that it's gonna be as hard. They're
well,
feeling like
I think
crying and they don't know that this is just starting. What can you tell them?
I, I think for those who are thinking that oh, I didn't think this was this hard, then maybe this isn't for you. But for those who are who know that, look, this is hard, I would say carry on, because ultimately it gets easier before it gets harder, right? The good old saying of you have to push the bow a lot further back for it to go a lot further forward, right? In order to jump 10 feet, you might have to go 3 feet back. So don't worry about the challenges. Persevere through. It might seem difficult right now, and it often is in the early stage. But if you stick through it, you'll make it through. There's a good old saying that people overestimate how much they can achieve in 1 year, but severely underestimate how much they can achieve in 10. So, you might be thinking, oh, I thought I've been doing this for 1 year and I'm nowhere near what I thought. That's fine. But you will also be a lot further ahead in 10 years, which you've initially imagined. So keep at it, work hard, try and find like-minded people who encourage you. Stay sort of open on your feet, be open to pivoting and taking advice and criticism, and invest your money into it before you get VCs to sort of come in so they can see you're all in, and eventually, it'll work out. There's a lot of money out there, right? At any given time, there is 5 trillion in cash flow circulating. So
Wow.
there's plenty of money. So money is not the issue, right? It's how you paint that picture and what you sort of try and solve with how much perseverance that'll make the difference.
That's fantastic. And with that note, see you, all of you, in our next episode of Unstoppable. Thank you so much, Andon. That have been very valuable for our audience. And for everyone listening in Spotify and Apple, or following our social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. See you in our next episode of Unstoppable. How brave entrepreneurs like Anmol break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.